Hi students, good morning. How are you all? Let's come to the lesson. This is JODY'S FAWN. I think you like this lesson very much. In the previous class we have seen how he has convinced both of his parents and took the help of Mr. Melville to get into the forest in order to save the life of the fawn who was being left or abandoned after using the mothers, after extracting the doe's liver and the heart in order to cure the snake bite of Mr. Penny. Let us move on with, and he says that the fawn was compared to a china bee. It was very sensitive and it was so cute and soft, and the baby fawn was very much liked by this boy Jody. Really, Jody wanted to have this fawn back home, and he wanted to rear him by dedicating his milk also. He doesn't like to drink milk. He wants to give or share his milk with the fawn, and he wants to raise him up. Let us come to page number 92. All of you must open page number 92, and second paragraph we will go through. He was afraid that it might kick or bleat at sight and smell of its mother. See, no animal, unless it is get close to us, it never come to us very easily. That too, this is an unknown personality. I mean, Jody was completely unknown to fawn. So fawn might bleat or kick him. Bleating in a sense, making a cry, or sometimes it may kick. Suppose if the animals get irritated, they bark at us, they kick us, they scratch us, isn't it? But deer is such a friendly animal, it doesn't cause much damage or hurt to anybody. It might either beat or kick him because he never gets the smell of his mother. He skirted the clearing and pushed his way into the thicket. Skirted in the sense, he made it very short and he got into the, because through the vines and the thicket of the forest must be clear, then only he can step forward. Getting into the forest and finding the ways in the forest is not that very as we think. Once we missed somewhere in the forest, in the sense, we are off. There is no question of coming back. So that's the reason Mr. Melville also accompanied Master Jody, who wants to get into the forest and bring the fawn. See, the thicket was somewhat shortened. He skirted the clearing and pushed his way into the thicket. It was difficult to find through with his burden. Actually, holding this baby fawn in his hands and cutting down some undergrowth and moving through that is such a burden to him. It's not an easy task and it's too difficult for him to get out of the forest. The fawn's legs caught in the bushes while he was holding the fawn in his arms and moving through. Okay, the hooves of this animal were catching hold of certain twines as well as these vines. Twines and vines or get tangled to its hooves. The fawn's legs caught in the bushes and he could not lift his own with freedom. He tried to shield its face from prickling vines. Certain vines in the forest are having thorns and pricklings. Okay, that might hurt the face of this fawn. So that's why what he did, he had just covered or he had shielded. S-H-I-E-L-D, shield means protected. He protected with his arms the face of this fawn and was moving with this burden of the fawn. He tried to shield its face from prickling vines. Its head bobbed with his stride. Okay, its head bobbed with its stride. Bobbing in the sense moving so hard. So many hard words or difficult vocabulary we have come across. Okay, please underline this. Thicket, skirted, and pricklings, shield, bobbed. His heart thumped with the marvel of its acceptance of him. Actually, the very beginning stage that the fawn has given him little trouble, but once he started holding in his two arms, it had not given him any trouble, and it was cooperating, and he also can cope up with this animal very well. His heart was thumped with a marvel of its acceptance of him. Why his heart was thumping? Because the fawn already accepted this boy as his master. That's why this is Jody's fawn. Whose fawn was that? That was not the fawn of its doe, its mother. It's not the fawn of Baxter, or this is not the fawn of Penny. This is not also this is also not owned by anybody, either Millville or Doc. This is completely belongs to him. He reached the trail and walked as fast as he could. Trail in the sense the way that is seen on the grass. When people started walking on one particular way or the passage, okay, there no grass can be grown. Those are called trails. I think you might have seen the trails in the middle of some fields also. Okay, especially the farmers will get into the forest, I mean they get into the field and they'll be doing certain little jobs over there, isn't it? In order to walk, because of walking constantly, that way would be cleared and no undergrowth can be seen there. No plants will grow, no grass will grow. He caught the trail and walked as fast as he could until he came to the intersection with the road home. Actually, he had come to the roadway by hard task. He had gone through that trail, and anyhow, finally he caught that road. He stopped to rest and set the fawn down on his dangling legs. Actually, the legs were loosely hanging down. Dangling in the sense, loosely hanging down. So that's why he had a thought of making this fawn to stand on the ground for few minutes. It wavered on them. It looked at him and bleated. It wavered on them. Okay, they were not at all standing properly. Maybe the whole night it was got tired up without eating anything. So the fawn was looking so pale and weak. So finally it looked at him and bleated. It started bleating. Bleating means crying. Okay, the cry of an animal. He said enchanted. Enchanted means really mesmerized. He was really in a great shock. How it could be possible that a wild animal would be a pet of him? But really it was an attempt made by this Jody. Okay, hats off to his attempt. Because unless we try for something, nothing would easily come in our hands. Okay, if you wanted to get something, you need to work hard for it. You need to make an attempt. There must be little seriousness. There must be little hard work. There will be certain obstacles. So when you cross all these hurdles only, finally you can taste the success. You can really taste the flavor of success. That comes only through your trials. Unless you try, nothing would happen. So here also the boy felt the happiness because it was his hard work. He said, enchanted, I'll carry you after I get my breath. Actually, he was unable to breathe properly. He was struggling for breathing, and he was telling or convincing this animal. How he convinced and got into the forest in the same way, he started convincing this animal to make him more protected by giving him the right support. Okay, he just wanted to support this animal. Then it was wobbling. The fawn stared after him. He came back to it and stroked it and walked away again. What did he do? After he made him stand on its legs, he was maning. M-A-N-I-N-G. Maning in the sense, maning in the sense, stroking. It is required for the animals to show our love and consent towards them. If you really wanted to, okay, show your love and affection towards the animal, what you have to do? You have to hold it, hug it, put very close to your heart, hug him, and you also can mane him, stroke him. So that's what he did. And stroked it and walked away again. Again he started walking. He took a few wobbling steps. Actually, he wanted to test the ability or the strength of this animal. Actually, the legs of this fawn were wobbling. Wobbling means unsteady. They were not steady. They were in unsteady way. And it took a few wobbling steps toward him and cried piteously. Okay, he was also crying, bleating. Okay, previously we had seen twice bleating, but this time it was crying piteously. It means having pity. If anyone sees that scene, no, they have mercy upon this animal. It was willing to follow him. Actually, it was not denying to follow him. So it started walking behind this boy, and very obediently it was following the footsteps of this boy, Jody. It belonged to him, it was his own. Okay, this animal, the fawn, belongs to him and it was his own one. He was light-headed with his joy. Actually, he was not completely happy. The animal fawn was not completely happy. It was light-headed with his joy. The joy was little light-headed. Okay, light-hearted, light-headedness also can be seen with this animal. He was not it's not collected all its spirits and having a kind of happiness. It was not so pleasurable. Okay, there is no pleasure. There is no joy. He wanted to fondle it. Okay, light-headed in the sense unable to think clearly. It was unable to think properly. It wanted to fondle it and to turn and romp with it, to call to it to come to him. He dared not alarm it. Actually, this animal would like to have a close association with this boy Jody, and Jody purposely left this animal and he had just gone some pace of distance. He had crossed and moved away. He was not really very close to this farm. So he picked it up and carried it in front of him over his two arms. What did he do again? Because until then he was too tired, so much of exhausted nature has come. He was too exhausted. So this time, in order to have a little bit of relaxation, he left that animal, or he abandoned that animal on the ground. It is not like merciless. He was having lots of mercy towards this animal. He just wanted to be friendly. But so whenever he had seen that the fawn was crying so bitterly, he had got back to his sense, and again he held it in his hands. It seemed to him that he walked without effort. Okay, after left him for a few minutes to take a pace or to walk a bit, and finally he came to know that it has put up its efforts. Okay, so we should not carry the wild animal, okay, even if it is helpless. Okay, still we need to give little support, and we have to leave to its own sake. Okay, for its own fate, we need to leave it. Otherwise, taking him along with him is such a great problem. His arms began to ache and he was forced to stop again. His hands were paining much because holding such a big wild animal on his very arms might be a great problem, so he cannot hold. Then he walked on. The fawn followed him at once. Okay, sometimes he was taking into his arms and again he was leaving him on the ground. Likewise, by taking turns, they just started walking. He allowed it to walk a little distance. He himself allowing that animal to walk so that it can gather its spirits. Then picked it up again. The distance home was nothing. Actually, they were very close to Jody's house, and anyhow they were coming nearer to the home of him. He could have walked all day and into the night, carrying it and watching it follow. He was wet with sweat. He was wet with sweat, but a light breeze blew through the June morning. it was the month of June, so he was very much exhausted. He cannot take him into his arms anymore. So he purposely left that animal to walk behind him, and due to the whole night's travel as well as the previous morning and even afternoon and night also, he just spent his whole time in the forest in order to find out this fawn. So he became so rough, and even the weather was also, that was the month of June, so it started raining in the forest much, so he became completely wet. But the June month's cool breeze was blown on him, and it has given him the life. It cooled its body. It cooled his body. The sky was as clear as spring water in a blue china cup. Again, he was comparing the water, the rain water, which was dropped in a china cup. The sky was as clear as spring water. The sky is looking white in nature. It was like a spring water in a blue china cup. The sky is blue. The clouds were there. The sky was as clear as spring water. Okay, the sky was clear, but the blue sky can be seen high above his head. It was being compared to a china cup. The remaining part of this, we see here the 2 to 3 paragraphs are completely described the way the fawn was there in the forest. So you need to pay attention more and read it thoroughly, and you must come prepared for the next day's lesson. That would be the last part of it, so you can really enjoy this lesson. This is JODY'S FAWN, and until we meet again, goodbye, take care.